If you feel like you have to repeat yourself over and over again for them to get things, prove yourself, over-explain, cry for them to even notice you, then they're probably not taking you seriously. Hello y'all, welcome back to another video dedicated to help you break out of the cycle of toxic behaviors and relationships in your personal and romantic area of your life. If you like anything personal development or healthy relationships, make sure you hit the subscribe button and join our tribe. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about why you don't get taken seriously in your relationship, the mistakes that you're making, the psychology behind it, and what to do instead. So if any of the signs that I mentioned before resonated with you, you're most likely not getting taken seriously in your relationship, and you're probably frustrating, feeling like you have to constantly over-explain and tell them things over and over again for them to just get it. So let's talk about why this is happening in the first place and the mistakes that we want to avoid making that is reinforcing these types of relationships. And recently I watched a really great interview between Stephen Bartlett and Vanessa Van Edwards on A Diary of a CEO. If you watched it before, it is so good. She is a body language expert, and she tells you and decodes the different subtle nonverbal cues that we exhibit when we're talking and communicating with other people that let the other person know whether or not we are someone reliable, we are someone trustworthy, we are someone that they can trust and like and dislike. And she really goes in depth about how our behaviors and cues and the nonverbal communication contributes to this. And it made me start to think about our romantic relationships and how this concept applies so much into how our partner is taking us seriously or not taking us seriously, respecting us or not respecting us, based on the behaviors and the patterns that we're exhibiting. And one of the things that they mentioned in the video is the scale of warmth and competency. And if you feel like you're the type of person that is not getting taken seriously, you have to repeat yourself everywhere you go, you probably lean more towards the warmth on the scale. And this means that you might be exhibiting people-pleasing behaviors. You're constantly over-giving. You're very warm, very compassionate, very agreeable. You're nodding your head. Your body language shows that you're super engaged and you're ready to over-give and just please people because you want to be liked. And this is when you're on the extreme part of the warmth scale. But the opposite of that would be competency. And where competency falls is the traits that will allow other people to start respecting you more, to start taking you more seriously. Now, they might not necessarily trust you, they might not necessarily like you or feel like they can share and be vulnerable with you, because that is more of the warmth traits. But the goal isn't to swing from one extreme to another, because if you do notice, there are downfalls to being an extreme on either side. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're somewhere in the middle, somewhere where you feel like it still aligns with who you are personally and aligns with the version of yourself that you're trying to become, but making sure that you are not so rigid in either stance. Here are the mistakes that you want to avoid if you're rigid in the warmth stance. So some of the things that I mentioned before: number one, people pleasing. If you're the type of person that's constantly bending over backwards for other people, you're freeing up your schedule to make sure that you're making it convenient for them. You're constantly putting your things on the back burner and constantly over giving and doing things. You're trying not to make a big deal out of things. You keep quiet. You want to be the chill person because you don't want to be difficult and push them away and be disliked. All of these traits are exhibiting a lot of warmth, and they're direct behaviors that tell your partner that you do not respect your own time. You do not respect what you want and what you need, because you constantly put other people's wants and needs above yours. Some other traits are agreeableness. So you're constantly agreeing with other people. You're constantly going with the flow for other people just to make them comfortable. And being overly bubbly to the point where you feel like you have to constantly mask and make other people feel comfortable. You don't feel like you can just sit with your personality and express yourself authentically. You feel like you have to project this version of yourself to have other people like you. So maybe you're constantly using your customer service voice. And some of the nonverbal cues that Vanessa Van Edwards mentions is when you're speaking, the end of their sentence constantly has an upward inflection. So, for example, there's a difference between saying, "How are you today?" You hear the upward inflection, versus, "How are you today?" Now, It's subconscious, but inevitably, whenever there's a constant up and inflection of the tone at the end of your sentences, people will start not taking you seriously. Not because you are saying things a certain way and you're being judged for it, but because when you constantly have a high inflection at the end of the sentence, it sounds like you are questioning yourself. And when you sound like you are questioning yourself, other people cannot trust what you're saying because they're uncertain whether or not what you're saying is true, whether or not something you're saying has stability and foundation to it. Because if you're questioning it, or if you sound like you're questioning it, they're also subconsciously questioning it. So the same thing works in setting boundaries. When you are saying something that bothers you, think about how you voice it out. Think about your body language, how you bring it up in the first place, because a lot of times it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. So for example, when you're setting boundaries with your partner, this is particularly important to think about how you are saying things. Do you feel like you're questioning what you're saying and whether or not what they're doing is actually making you upset? Are you constantly going back on your word and saying, it's not a big deal, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit upset about it, but nah. What they're hearing is that your boundary is negotiable, that it is not that quote unquote big of a deal to you, because that is what you're saying directly to them. So your tone of voice, your body language, how you are voicing things is so important, especially if you want to get taken seriously. And the biggest thing to keep in mind isn't to think about all these rules, but it's to think about, do I take myself seriously? Is this serious to me? If it actually is a boundary that is serious to me, then how can I exhibit and speak about this boundary and show that this other person that it is serious? Now, it doesn't have to turn into maladaptive or unhealthy behaviors of silent treatment or being spiteful or being passive aggressive. It can be healthily and directly communicated, but making sure that you have that balance is the most important thing. Now, one thing that you also want to keep note of is your body language. So when you're talking about things, do you seem very open, very expressive, very warm? Or do you seem a little bit slower? Do you think before you speak? Are you making sure that your body language shows that you actually are processing things? Or are you just sporadic and reactive and responsive? If you notice, there is such a difference with how you receive, how other people perceive what you are saying based on your body language, based on your actions. There's such a big difference between if I'm back here and I'm speaking with my arms down and I'm just going monotone and I'm just telling you about what you should know and what you should learn, versus if I'm a little bit more expressive and I'm using my hands to communicate and emphasize points that are important. With that said, if any of these behaviors resonated with you and you're realizing, dang, I am a bit warm and I am a little bit too people-pleasy and overgiving, then this is an opportunity for you to reel it a little back in and work on some of these behaviors so that you are respecting your time, you are respecting your space, you do make sure that you fulfill your own cup first before you constantly overgive to other people. And of course, if you want to work on these things together one-on-one, you can book a clarity call with me, link in the description below. With that said, let's talk about the things that you want to do instead that will increase that competency scale and allow other people to start taking you seriously, respecting what you say, actually listening to you so you don't have to constantly repeat yourself over and over again. Number one, the first thing that you want to take note of is that if you want other people to take you seriously and respect you, you need to start taking yourself seriously and respect yourself. So some of these competency behaviors means that you are making sure that whatever you say is followed through. You are keeping the promises that you make to yourself because there is weight to your words. You don't just say one thing and then do another, because then you'd be called a liar. You'd be called someone that is not that seriously and just has goals and dreams, but there's no discipline to it. There's no actual action behind it. I don't need to take whatever they're saying seriously because they don't even take their lives seriously. And I know this is a bit harsh, so here's my hand, because we are telling all truths here today. At the end of the day, someone that takes their life seriously, someone that respects themselves, makes sure that what they say and what they do align with each other. Now, of course, we're human beings and nothing is ever perfect, but discipline is such a big form of self-love and self-respect. And a lot of times it's not about not wanting to do things and just choosing the comfortable and more safe and familiar route, but it's making sure that you are still pushing yourself. You are still showing up for yourself. You are still doing things because you know that it benefits the long-term version of yourself. And not only this, but doing things and following through with it also shows your partner that you are someone that they can rely on. Because imagine your partner did that same thing. They have the same behavior of, oh, I'm gonna take out the trash, and then they never take out of it. Oh, I'm gonna wash the dishes later. They never wash it. You'll start to see them as someone that is not capable, is not competent, is not someone that you can trust and rely on, because they say one thing and then do the other. And this is not someone that you want to build a family with either, because at the end of the day, there is no stability, there is no foundation. People are only showing up to make the other person happy, to only showing up when they feel good and when it's convenient for them. But sometimes there's always going to be hard days. There's always going to be things that get in the way of things, but you still have to show up and make sure that you are at least taking care of yourself. It's a balance, right? It's a balance between self-love, self-care, and then also making sure that you're doing the damn thing. So if you want to be someone that not only your partner can rely on, but you can rely on, then start showing up for yourself and start keeping the promises that you tell yourself. And start small. You do not need a humongous goal and 100 things on your list, because if you don't complete it, then you guilt yourself. Then you feel like you're not enough. Then you feel like, oh my gosh, I knew it. I can't do this. But it's not that you can't. It's just that you might have put too much on your plate. It's unrealistic. There's so many things that you have to factor in when it's such a huge goal. So start small. You can always start with telling yourself, I want to drink a cup of water in the morning, and then do it. That rewires to your mind that you are someone that follows through, that you are someone that's reliable. And we all start somewhere. So find a goal that is super easy and quick that you can do for 5 to 10 minutes a day. Set an alarm, set a timer, and do that thing, because the more you show your brain that you can be consistent, that you can trust yourself, the more that you will exhibit these types of traits and behaviors in other areas of your life and build that self-trust and that self-reliance. And also, it will translate into your relationship, and your partner can start relying on you. Your partner can start trusting you, and they will start taking you seriously because you're taking yourself seriously. Number 2, own up to your emotions and take responsibility for your own actions. Take accountability. If you make a mistake, own up to it. If you are feeling a certain way, don't try to pretend that that's not what you're feeling, that you're wishy-washy, that you're being passive-aggressive. It's not a big deal. Own up to your emotion. Because the more honest and transparent and the more confidence you have in just owning up to however you're feeling, whatever you did, the mistakes that we did, the more your partner can respect you, the more you can respect you. Because if you can't even be honest with yourself and you feel like there's so much shame and you need to hide these parts of yourself, then your partner will see that, and they will see that there is doubt, that there is energy that is not confident. And because you're unsure, they're also unsure. So don't be afraid to own up to how you feel. Speak confidently. Make sure that you're direct and assertive, because this will allow them to understand that you take yourself seriously, and however you're feeling, even though it happened, you're owning up to it and you're actually taking actual steps to overcome it, right? To learn from it. That earns so much more respect than pretending that everything is fine and everything's perfect, because that's just not the case. We're all human, we all have our things, and sometimes we all learn from them as well. But with that said, I hope that this video helped. Comment down below any of your questions that you may have. If you do feel stuck and if you want to get unstuck and actually take yourself seriously, break out of the cycle of toxic behaviors and patterns, and make sure that you're building a healthy relationship, then book a call, link in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video. As always, you got this.